All right, gang. Well, that was good stuff. I wanted to cover one little thing before we get done here, and it was I've been getting a lot of folks starting to learn how to write Universal Life, and Universal Life is one of my favorite products because it rocks. The average premium per sale is high, and but before I go into that, we had a special conference call with, not conference call, I'm talking a special little meeting with Brett Bench from Mutual of Omaha, and he was kind of promoting some things I think are just awesome. Now with Living Promise, Mutual of Omaha's Living Promise Whole Life product, as you know, that product you can do an electronic application, no telephone interview, or you can do it on a paper application with no telephone interview, send it in and then cross your fingers and hope that it'll get issued. And the problem with that is that you cross your fingers and hope it can get issued. Where I stood with an application. That's why I always gravitated towards CFG, because CFG required a phone interview on the level benefit. On greater benefit, they don't, but on the level benefit, they do require a phone interview. And I knew after the phone interview with the client at point of sale whether or not it was issued. I just wanted to know. I didn't want to, because sometimes clients aren't truthful. They'll tell you stuff and they will conveniently forget stuff. And you know how frustrating that is, right? And then it doesn't get issued. Well, when they go through a phone interview, when the person on the other end, Aptical, who is the phone interviewer company, they'll do on the point of sale phone interview, they're going to do an MIB check. So they're going to look at their MIB, and they're going to look at their scripts, their prescription check. So they're going to look at those two vital pieces of data to determine if your client, well, number one, is telling the truth, and number two, they'll re-ask things that show up. So you don't have that insight, but they do, and that's what's beautiful about going through the application, because what they're going to do is they're going to ask every question that you ask on the application, and they're going to bounce it off what they find on the prescription check and the MIB, the Medical Insurance Board check. So if there's something, if they answered a question no that they should have said yes to, they're going to re-ask the question. Okay, let me repeat that question and re-ask that question again, sir. Is there, and they'll emphasize almost to try to get them to fess up. If they can't really, resolve it, then they're not going to approve it. But at least you know whether or not to go to a guaranteed issue product. But I always wanted to know whether I was getting paid or not, because if it went through and it's done, it's a done deal, baby. It's like money in your bank. And I always love to leave an appointment knowing that I got paid, like I know it's going to get paid. So that's the thing about the Aptical process. Now, Foresters, Plan Right goes through that, CFG, Level Benefit goes through that, and now Mutual of Omaha has the option to do it on their Living Promise. And so I would encourage you, if you are going to do Living Promise, that you do the point of sale interview, but you can't do it on an electronic app. So if you do the Living Promise electronic app, you can't do the phone interview. Okay, so then you're just kind of praying, oh, Lord, please let this go through. So if anything, I guess you become more religious if you let the underwriters underwrite it. Okay, the power of prayer, right? But I would rather be a little bit more knowing what's going on. So I would opt to do a paper application and do the phone interview. And we got this nifty little piece that I got from their on the website, the InnateLeads.com website. If you go to Living Promise, there's this thing that says Living Promise Point of Sale Interview Guide. And it goes through what you got to do the call. One thing about it is if it does get declined, okay, if it does get declined, you do have to still turn the application in because they signed it already, and just for compliance with insurance rules, they really need to get that. So it goes to step one, right, and then So this is just a step-by-step guide. It's very similar to the other optical phone calls that you guys have done with other applications. Okay. So they're going to go through this, and then it's pretty quick. It doesn't take very long. You know, it might add 10, 15 minutes, but at least you'll know what's up. So that's what I would recommend doing. The other thing that they did was they lowered the face value for guaranteed universal life express. Okay, this is a non-medical. This is the product that's analogous to Smart UL non-med for foresters. These kind of compete against each other. They lower the face value, you can see here on WinFlex, to a minimum of 25,000, right? So you can run a GULE for 25,000. So let me show you kind of the difference. If someone qualifies for it underwriting-wise, 25,000, and let's take this, you can do 25,000, and you can do a no-lapse guarantee. So the cool thing about Guaranteed Universal Life Express is you can put this could almost be like a term product, okay? But let's say you're writing on the oldest age is 65. So let's do a 65-year-old. Let's just run no-lapse guarantee to age 95. Actually, you could do age 90. 90 is actually considered really the end of their life. Not too many people live past 90. Okay, so you can really kind of say that this is going to be through the rest of life. So here's 25,000 going all the way to age 90. Okay, so let's take a look. So this is on a 65-year-old. So that's 8677. All right. So let's compare that same product to a Living Promise. Got a whole life portfolio, Living Promise, level death benefit, 65-year-old, 25,000. Okay, 134.59. So you see 25,000, and the reason why that is, it's like 86 bucks versus 134. The reason why that is that the underwriting standards are different. This is, Living Promise Whole Life is rated standard to Table 6 health. So they could have a lot more problems with them to get into a whole life product. But if their health fits into Guaranteed Universal Life Express, then it may be smarter to put them into Guaranteed Universal Life Express for the 25,000. Let's take it to age 100, and I'll show you the difference. So it was 86 to age 90. To age 100, it's 107.61. So it's more expensive, but if you talk to any life insurance agent who's a good and honest and one of integrity, they usually say that only 2% of the population survive past 90. So, you know, if you want to just add a little five more years just to make sure that they're dead, John, I'm going to make sure you're dead when this one by 90. So it's 90. It's at $10, okay, but it's still cheaper than 134. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's do another comparison. The thing about Guaranteed Universal Life Express is that it doesn't require any underwriting, like blood and urine tests, and it's guaranteed. So no matter what, as long as they pay this amount, it's going to go all the way to age, in this case we did to age 95, right? So it's going to be guaranteed for sure. Done deal. It actually kind of acts almost like a guaranteed term, but we're just talking about in terms of universal life and something that will last the rest of their life. So let's compare Smart UL, because this is sort of the companion product. So let's take 25,000 for the same age, let's say 65. Now this is nearest age, so let's just compare age 65. 25,000, so let's see how much that costs. Okay, 93.39 for $25,000, and this will last till age 120, and it has cash value. Okay, so it is $93.39 versus guaranteed universal life, and this is not guaranteed. Okay, so it's universal life, but it's not guaranteed. So 9607, go to age 95. So Foresters might be a little cheaper. It grows cash value, and it's not guaranteed. Plus, it has living benefits. So, you may lean towards Foresters for those reasons. This has better living benefits, like chronic illness, critical illness, terminal illness, whereas right now anyway, the guaranteed universal life has critical illness, terminal illness only. They're going to add those other ones down the road, but it's not on it right now. As you can see, this is could be a little bit better. It's not guaranteed, but chances are it'll go all the way. I think there's a way that you can run it. And excuse me, my being a geek, but I think you can specify. There's a way to do it where, let's do minimum premium. Let's take a look at what that is. So 76, and it'll only take it to age 85. So let's add some more to it. So that's kind of how you can play with it. So let's do a specified premium. So let's do $80 a month. So 80 takes it to age 87. And this is actually the fun of working with Universal Life. You get to play with so let's take it to $90 a month. $90 takes it to age 94, almost 95, so let's go 91. $96. So it goes to 96 for $91, and then this was 96. So if that was the case where you're trying to get it to age 95, I would lead towards Guaranteed Universal Life Express because this doesn't depend on interest rate. It's guaranteed, okay? So, you can decide what to do there. I would maybe lean more towards Guaranteed Universal Life because it's guaranteed. Now, here's another thing you can do with it. Let's say you have a 55-year-old on Guaranteed Universal Life Express. Let's take this person at 55. You actually can put together a 40-year term. Alex, there's no such thing as a 40-year term. Well, GULE, you can do 40-year term. Let me show you how you do that. So instead of going guaranteed at 95, what's 40 years? Well, I guess 40 plus 55 is 95. So you guarantee it to 95 for $25,000. That's $50.88. So you do it's like really kind of a 40-year term almost. Let's do 100,000. Let's do 75,000. So really, in essence, it's like a 40-year term, 152.64, guaranteed. So there you go. So those are just some of the fun things you can do with Universal Life. These are my go-to products. Smart UL. I like doing Smart UL, and I like doing Guaranteed Universal Life Express. Again, Foresters, it tips the scale to Foresters for the living benefits, chronic illness, critical illness, terminal illness. But there are some really good. Eric Belair loves GULE. Okay, so he loves this product because of the flexibility that you have, on it. But anyway, all right, gang, that's it. Sorry to be geek, but I just wanted to be Universal Life geek on you, and there's a lot of cool things you can do with it. All right, I'm going to unmute and see if anyone has any questions. So anyone has any questions, comments? I think Paul attended a Eric Belair boot camp. If you've been to an Eric Belair boot camp, you probably heard him espousing the benefits of GULE. Any questions?
No, not
Hey,
totally.
Alex, on the Smart GULE, that's contracted at a minimum of 3%, right? On
Yeah,
interest?
the guarantee is the guarantee amount is 3%, and it's illustrating at a 5.85%. Kind of how we know this is solid is when, okay, the difference between these two is guaranteed. So the guarantee is a big difference. Guaranteed universal life is as long as they pay their policy, okay, that policy premium amount, it will go to the very end, regardless of interest rate. So the illustration might show that it ends, that the policy ends at age 75, but it will go to the very end. So you see the cash value, surrender value stops at age 78, but the death benefit goes all the way to age 95. So what they're saying is, even though the guaranteed interest rate is 3%, their guarantee is that if you pay the premium, that premium every year, they'll guarantee it to go to age 95, okay? Whereas Foresters, okay, their guarantee is 3%. They're paying at 5.85%. And if you do the report, to show you what the report says, because the report shows when it's going to die if it was only at 3%. Okay, so the minimum interest rate, the guaranteed interest rate, is this 5.85%. This is, I'm sorry, the guarantee is 3%. So the guarantee is 3. It's illustrating 5.85. So they're saying that if the world ended, was like apocalypse, the zombie apocalypse happened, and the interest rates crashed to 3%, the minimum, then it would only go to age 81. But they're banking on the interest rate staying above that, but it's illustrating at 5.85, which will take it all the way to age 120. Okay? Well, I'm sorry, the way we did this one was going to age 95. Okay? So if it was 5.85, it dropped down from 5.85. Like the lowest it's ever been was when we took a big interest rate hit like 4 years ago. And it got as low as 5.65%, okay? If 5.65% happened to this policy, the way we illustrated it won't go to 95. It'll go to a different, in fact, let me show you how you could do that. So give me a, okay, so we can let's say it went down to the lowest that we've ever experienced. So you can do that here, 5.65%. Let's show you what happens to the report. By the way, when you mess around with the interest rate, make sure you put it back. So we shot it going to age 95 at 5.85. Well, this is what happens when the interest rate drops and you didn't accurately do it. It goes to age 94. Okay, so it shortened it by 1 year. Okay, so but you're only talking 0.2%, so it doesn't have a big effect. So if 5.65 was the lowest it ever got, it'll probably be the lowest it'll ever get. So you can feel maybe a little bit comfort level of showing 5.85, and the lowest it ever been was 5.65. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, so
Yes, it does.
Again, so the difference is the guarantee. The other difference between the two, again, right now, Guaranteed Universal Life with Mutual of Omaha does not have the chronic illness, critical illness at all. It only has the terminal illness benefit. Okay, so if someone's going to do a UL that's going to go the rest of their life, I would lean toward something that will give them all the benefits chronic, critical, and terminal illness. See that? Now, Mutual of Omaha is coming out with those benefits in July for Term Life Express. So Term Life Express will have critical, chronic, and terminal, but it's not going to be on GULE until later, okay? The underwriting differences on these two, they're very, very similar, okay? So they're real similar. So you can, that's why you can almost like call them virtually the same underwriting. Does anyone know specifically, are there any differences with underwriting? They're both simplified issue, that's right. So they don't require blood and urine. Does anyone know any more differences on underwriting? I think the underwriting is very similar. In other words, okay, so the way to think of GULE is to think of it as TUL, Term Life Express, in a universal life format. Just like Smart UL is similar to Strong Foundation in a universal life format, all right? So that's kind of how you can look at them in the same, through the same underwriting lens. Does that make sense? Well, yeah, age is a difference. GUL, yeah, Smart UL will go up higher. Well, Smart UL because it's a UL. Smart UL can be illustrated at any age up to age 85. Okay. Hold on. Oh, 75. I'm sorry, 75. So you can illustrate Smart UL non-med to 75. I think the medical version goes higher. For Guaranteed Universal Life Express, it's 65. So you stick it in the box. You see right here, the max age is 65. So there's a difference in the age limitation. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
But I'd be very familiar with both. Know your product. And play with the rates. Rates are fun. Play with the premium. In fact, again, because if you adjust something, it'll be that for all your other, so when you mess with it, that 5.65 would stay there if I closed out. It doesn't default back. So you got to change it back. Okay? So be very afraid of changing anything, but no, change it back. All right? Oh, the other difference I think is Smart UL, tobacco is cigarettes. Tobacco's anything nicotine, Smart UL is. Strong Foundation, tobacco is only cigarettes. Okay, so if they smoke vapor cigarettes, if they chew tobacco, Strong Foundation term non-med considers them non-tobacco, but Smart UL considers tobacco anything related to nicotine. So that's another difference between. So even there's a little bit of Forrester's. So what was that, Carol? Forrester's. You can convert Strong Foundation to non-tobacco for Smart. What? Really?
I think Smart also.
Alex?
Yeah.
Hey, that is correct, that when you do a conversion from Strong Foundation, there is not a tobacco question asked. So if you write someone first on Strong Foundation and they're a chewer or e-cig or something other than cigarettes, they can convert to either Smart UL or Advantage Plus, doing just a conversion without changing their tobacco status.
Oh my God, that totally rocks right there. Okay, so let me ask you, Karen, have you ever sold someone on, look, let's just do a year or two on this, and then we can convert you to a longer plan of insurance?
I am often telling clients, this is a great starter plan. This gets you the most coverage at the lowest price right now while you need the most coverage. When your budget changes, we can look at plans that'll have more benefits for you.
I love it. That's perfect. That rocks. See, gang, look how much you've learned.
See?
Well, thanks. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for that. Good stuff. Yep. All right, gang. Let's see if there's anything else. Mutual of Omaha is coming out with a cash value product, IUL. So, that would be a
when are we
great
getting their IUL?
He says soon. Well, okay. We have it now, but we're working the compensation part out right now. So we do actually have it, but they're working the compensation out on it. So it'll come out like shortly. Okay.
Okay.
One more thing about Mutual of Omaha. Underwriting, express underwriting should pay 1 to 2 days. Okay. If it doesn't, there is something wrong. Okay, so you've got the man pending on Mutual of Omaha on simplified issue. If it's not in 2 days, baby, then there's something wrong. So you got to call in and go, what's wrong? There's something wrong with your application. Okay, so be proactive. It should happen quick. If it gets issued paid at Mutual of Omaha by 3 p.m. Central, you'll get paid the next day. So, you know, it is a quick turnaround. So that's another advantage over Foresters. Foresters isn't that quick, but again, you know, there you go. All right, gang.
Hey, Alex.
That is it. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, just real quick, for the new people, it just happened to me that could help. With Foresters, I've got several applications in. I called and checked on them several days ago, and then I called today, and since it was the first application that I'd written with Foresters, it was something the lady said, well, I'm sorry, even though I'd called twice, today she said it's something on our end, and it was basically came down to being my first house. So that calling, because I checked the site first and checked my new business, and it didn't, and I saw that it didn't have any outstanding requirements. So then I called them and asked them, and they were just sitting there. So I was encouraged, especially with people writing for the first time, you want to call more than once, probably.
Yeah, they do what's called just-in-time contracting. So when you turn in your first app, that's when they complete your contracting process, which means they're going to check your credit, they're going to check everything. And then sometimes they may decline you on your appointment, but they will still pay you on your first app that you sent in. So, you know, that's kind of the unfortunate thing with Foresters is they do that just-in-time thing. But there's, you know, fear not, there's always workarounds around getting your other apps issued. So that's kind of what happens. That's why it takes a long time for your first app with them. All right? All right, gang.
Hey Alex, I have just one more thing. With the GUL, like when you get above age 65, or the GULE, you can actually go to the GUL if you keep the price under, the face value under like $100,000, like if you go to $999 or $99,999, you can to $50,000, I think it is, that you can. It's almost like a simplified issue, except they just check the medical records. They're able to pull the medical records on the person, so they don't do a blood and urine.
Oh, okay. So you can do above 65 with GUL. Let's say if you did a 66-year-old, and the face amount can be between $50,999, and they won't do a blood and urine draw, right? Is that what you're saying?
So it's like close to being simplified issue. It's like kind of almost, they just pull the medical records is the only thing that they do. So
like when you say medical records, they're doing an APS?
Yes, an APS.
Okay. Okay, so forget anything we said about that. Like anytime, dude, I've had an APS, like promise you, it's 95% decline.
Okay.
Okay, so like gang, don't even think about it. If you're going to do above 65, I'll go with Strong Foundation. All right?
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry, Smart UL. Like seriously, APS, by the way, APSs take forever. Like I've had, and the reason why it takes forever is because the medical records person is only there once a week, and then she processes everything, and it's not on her, it is not on her schedule. She doesn't know a lot about a request for insurance it could take 90 days. I've had APSs take 90 days to frickin' get back from the doctor. And this is after calling the doctor myself, trying to pound the APS out of them. I mean, I've gone to great lengths trying to get the dadgum APS, and then only to discover that 90% of the time it's a decline because of what they found. Everything is worse on medical records. Everything is worse. They'll see everything that's wrong with the person. So, like, don't even think about it. Or they'll rate it up, just like Carol said. They'll find stuff in there to rate it up. So, like,
or Alex. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say on medical records, if their medical records are incomplete, you're done.
Yes.
You can't do anything with them.
Nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. Yeah, and what do you mean? So explain what this means by incomplete, Andrew.
I'll give you an example. One of my clients, and I may try to write him with Forster's, although it's doubtful. He had an echocardiogram ordered that wasn't done. And he's never getting it done. He doesn't need it, but it was never canceled by the same token. So as far as the insurance company is concerned, he has got an outstanding echocardiogram with no results, and they cannot make a underwriting decision without that either being canceled or the echo being done.
Right. All right, man. Thanks, everybody. That rocked. This is going to be a great video on the UL part. So I appreciate y'all. Thanks. Let's kick butt. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and we'll catch you guys on the road. Let's kick butt this week.